What is up, everybody? You know what time it is? It's time for Meta Mondays. So, Meta Mondays, our man JCMS85 back at it again. Be sure to get that free award and slam it on this man. Anywho, for those who don't know, JCMS, he's been posting these Meta Mondays every Monday in the Warhammer competitive community. Definitely give it that thumbs up, as these are the things that really help us to analyze the meta, and he actually does this all manually. So he goes through the lists and actually finds all of these numbers manually by going through the individual GTs, which is pretty awesome. So huge shout out to this guy. All right, so a couple of things here. I think he squeezed in some of the numbers from last week, because last week he actually did a partial Meta Monday. It wasn't a full Meta Monday. So we had a Orcs winning first and a White Scar second. Imperial Knights made a impression at the WG Open. That's actually pretty crazy that Knights was up there. At the Gateway Open, we had Drukari 5-0, Death Guard 5-0. Death Guard have been pretty consistent ever since their book, so I think that's a good sign that their book is pretty nice. And Custodes 4-1. Custodes have been so hot. Sisters 5-0. Sisters always coming out here and there. Drukari once again, and Aldari. Aldari have definitely been making the rounds lately. Drukari 5-0 and Drukari 4-1 and Dark Angels 4-1 making the final table. Very impressive, Dark Angels. Drukari again 5-0. Space Wolves, shout out all my Space Wolves. And Death Guard once again 4-1. And at the IGT in Spain, Iron Hands 5-0, Ultramarines 4-1, and Salamanders 4-1 at the IGT. So a couple of key takeaways that he wrote here is that he added 4 events from last weekend: the Flying Monkey, War Games for Warriors, Euro Hobby Place, and Glasshammer GT. And he didn't add the Orlando Open because of the missing first 4 games. So he says that Dark Eldar Drukari are the most popular faction, 48 players, and have the best win rate. So it looks like the Drukari are back on top. They were at like 68 to 70 win rate when their codex just dropped, and it would dip down a bit to like 62, 63, but now it looks like they're back at 66%. AdMech has actually gone down a lot, going to a respectable 55%. So it looks like the FAQ may have hit them harder than we might have thought, or maybe it's just that Dark Eldar didn't get nerfed as hard as we thought, and so they're still kicking it and destroying the meta. So with the Orcs, some tournaments are running the new 2021 codex, some are running the old 8th edition codex, so some are running Orcs 9th edition. Even with the mix, it looks like Orcs are at 54% win rate, which is very strong. Sad face for all the Necron players. Looks like there just ain't no souls to destroy with your cold iron bodies, as they are now at a 32% win rate, just I think behind the Blood Angels. And Iron Hands are back with new janky rules. Everybody loves janky rules that Games Workshop won't FAQ. It's the best. It's actually a lot of fun. And GSC, Gene Stealer Call coming in hot with 2 players with a 55% win rate. Oh my goodness. Gene Stealer Cult. That's amazing. Shout out to all you boys body snatching the Imperium. I don't know why, but Meta Mondays gets me so amped. And Imperial Knights and Guard are fighting for the worst faction now. Okay, but interestingly enough, I think Imperial. Oh, sorry. Knights slash Custodes took a 4-1. Custodes being so hot. So yeah, there's a little graph here. Sorry, a little table here with all of the armies in alphabetical order, the players, wins, and the games. I actually took the liberty of making a copy of this so I could just see the top armies so far. So it looks like, again, you have to keep in mind the sample size. So the higher the sample size, obviously, the healthier these numbers are. Looks like Drukari is very strong at 66%. The Imperium, I'm guessing this is like Imperial soup list, like Space Marines, Imperium. I'm not an Imperium player, so I apologize everybody if I don't really understand what this is. At 61%, Ultramarines showing up hot at 51%. That's actually Interesting. I think Goonhammer did a article. I think it was Goonhammer where they were profiling Ultramarine player who's been doing very well. Adeptus Mechanicus, the same rate as Gene Stealer's cult. I mean, once again, the sample size for Gene Stealer cult is not, it's not comparable, but it's just hilarious to see that Gene Stealer's cult had the same win rate as Adeptus Mechanicus. That's awesome. Dark Angels has been pretty hot lately. Orcs, even with the mix, they're still pretty hot. Death Watch, pretty hot right now. They're in the top 10. Grey Knights, Grey Knights. There was not a lot of samples, so only 16 games. Not much to say since the sample size is so low. But Grey Knights still 53%. That's not bad. Sisters of Battle have always been pretty consistent, and they have been pretty hot. Overall, the over 50% and hovering around there armies, I think, are showing a healthy sample size besides the Gene Stealer cult and the Grey Knights, and we still have some up and coming armies that seem like in the right circumstances in certain metas, they're probably not super competitive, but they're still gonna be fun to play and flavorful, like Adeptus Custodes. Looks like there was actually two people playing the Black Templars and Tyranids doing all right there, as well as Chaos Knights actually doing better than Chaos, of course. Note the sample size once again. At the bottom of the list, we got Tau, Chaos Space Marines. I'm actually surprised that Chaos Space Marines are doing so bad. Necrons took a huge fall. They were pretty damn hot when their codex dropped. Thousand Suns, I'm not sure if this, because the codex came out like last week, so I guess it is concluding Thousand Suns, but maybe they're just trying to still figure out the army, or maybe the codex was not as strong as we thought. Blood Angels, Imperial Knights, and the Imperial Guard at the bottom of the list here. So overall, we see the usual suspects at the top of the list. The only real surprise up here, I would say, is Gene Stealer's cult, which is awesome. And there's not much else of a surprise. I think the usual suspects are still up here and doing their thing. Now, in terms of popularity, let's see which armies are most popular. Looks like the Drukhari are still very popular. Now, that makes a lot of sense. I think Drukhari are still a super strong army. I don't think Games Workshop really addressed the core issue of Drukhari. I think they're still going to be very strong for a long time. Raiders are just so undercosted, and everything in the Drukhari army is just so good. It's just crazy good. Death Guard being this high up is very interesting to me. I think maybe there's just a lot of hardcore Death Guard fans. Death Guard has been pretty consistent since the Codex release, so that's not a super big surprise. Adeptus Mechanicus, it's very interesting to see the number of players of AdMech players dropping so much. I think even like last week there was more players than this. There's only 39 players. I mean, compared to the overall pool of players. Space Marines still very consistent up there, and Necrons. Interesting enough that there's a lot of players still playing Necrons. I mean, even just a couple months ago, just prior to Drukhari, they were doing pretty well, placing top three a lot in the GTs and majors. This is a battle still very popular. Same with Space Wolves, Adeptus Custodes, Orcs, and Tyranids. So that's pretty cool. On the bottom end, we had not many Chaos Knights players, Grey Knights players, Gene Stealer Cults players, and Black Templar players. But interestingly enough, these had you know, I would consider anything close to 50%, like 47, 48% and above to be viable in competitive play. And especially if you're someone who really knows their army, I don't even think the win percentage matters that much. As long as it's above like 45%, I think it's playable. But interesting to see that some of the least popular armies actually have some decent win rates, and some of the armies that are really struggling in the meta right now have a decent amount of players. So again, these are averages, so you never know. There could be just that there's a lot of players that are not doing well, and they're dragging the average down. Of course, if an army is statistically stronger than on just a pure statistic speculation, then in a matchup versus an army that has a low win rate like Imperial Guard right now against Drukhari, then just from a theory crafting perspective, the Drukhari will win every time. But of course, 40k is definitely not just a game of statistics; it's a game between two players. So as always, guys, I always recommend people to take even the Meta Mondays as a grain of salt. It's a nice way to keep your pulse on the meta, see what's going on. Scroll through the comments, see what people are talking about. Lists definitely can get your brain moving and think about things that you may not have thought about. But overall, don't let the Meta Mondays deter you from playing the list that you want to play and really enjoying the game. I mean, yeah, it sucks when your army is on the bottom of the meta, but the meta is always changing. People think of crazy stuff all the time, and Iron Hands, for example, have been showing up pretty well, and they've had a lull for a long time. So guys, don't give up on your armies. That's basically what I'm trying to say. That's it for this Meta Watch. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, keep those dice rolling, and you guys have a safe day out there.